Welcome to the Adulting Demystified podcast with your host, Odelia Goldberg. In each episode, we'll have subject matter experts discuss things that most people don't know, but probably should. You can find this show on all the major platforms, including YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, Apple Podcast, Spotify, and on our website, ogoldberglaw.com. Now, here's the host of Adulting Demystified, Odelia Goldberg.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Adulting Demystified. I'm Odelia Goldberg, and today we're here with Howard Kramer. And Howard is a certified financial planner. And our discussion today is going to be about common misconceptions in this type of financial planning. So, Howard, thank you so much for joining us today.
It's great to be here, and thanks for inviting me.
Howard, I didn't do you justice. You and I go way back, right? We started out just doing, some estate planning work for some of your clients, and then we became fast friends. So Howard and I go back, and, he's my go-to person whenever I have any questions regarding financial planning. So Howard, why don't I give you the floor and you could talk a little bit about your accolades?
Well, I could say that my accolades are time in the business. So, becoming a certified financial planner didn't start when I first got into the financial world. Most people get into what they call financial planning as either a stockbroker or an insurance agent, or perhaps you're in banking. Many people come into financial planning world from law. People who CPAs, a lot of CPAs also decide to branch out and do financial planning. And of course, estate planning is a part of financial planning. Right. So, many times people confuse the word financial planning to mean one particular thing, and usually it's tied to investments.
Right.
So, so that's where I come into talking with you today about, maybe we can talk about some of the misconceptions about what financial planning is and who can call themselves a financial planner.
You read my mind. The name of this podcast is called Adulting Demystified. And what we really try to do is we try to take industry experts and for them to talk about all the common misconceptions in their field. In my field, a lot of times people think, oh, I have a will, I could avoid probate, or, I could disinherit my spouse, or I have to leave assets to my children. So there are these common themes that people, or sometimes I hear, oh, I don't own my property. The bank owns it, because they have a mortgage. So there are these common themes that kind of just get dragged around, and I don't even know where they started. So this podcast allows us to kind of go in deeper into some of those misconceptions. So what are some misconceptions that you find in your industry people sometimes think?
Well, common misconceptions are that financial planning is something that you do one time and you're done. You create a plan. And oftentimes in my industry, Dwight Eisenhower, a great general and one of our presidents, is quoted often as saying, the plan is nothing, planning is everything.
Right.
So basically what that means is that you can create a plan, you can have a vision, but then life gets in the way.
Sure.
So a financial plan is a work in progress. It's a living thing. And as our circumstances in life change, as they seem to be happening more frequently and quicker, things are changing. Tax laws change, our relationships change, our family dynamics change. So you can create a general plan that's based upon your resources, your income, your expenses, your goals. It's good to have somebody who has general knowledge, somebody like a certified financial planner, who can ask you those questions, help you discover what's really important to you, and then create a beginning plan, which leads to financial planning.
And I think part of it is also making sure that your financial planner is available and, kind of an interpersonal relationship, because I would imagine that as these things change, you constantly need to go back to the financial planner and kind of get that thing going. So it's not like for me with estate planning, a lot of times what we do is intended to last forever and ever, and it's a one-time thing. We put a plan together and then hopefully nothing changes. Goodbye, you're on your way. But with financial planning, it feels like it's much more of a moving target where a relationship needs to be built and constantly nurtured.
That's absolutely true. And one of the reasons that and you can recall this, my last update to my financial plan was over 20 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And my sons, who were both grown and successful entrepreneurs, were not even at that time involved in my estate plan.
Mm-hmm.
So when you updated, I was able to make some important changes there. And when I chose you as my estate planner, I said, because I know a lot of estate planning attorneys, I said, I really need somebody that I'm going to be able to continue to have a relationship with, that my children and hopefully my grandchildren will be able to have somebody that they can really get the right answers from, who's really going to care. And you showed that to me when you offered that to the few clients that we worked on together. So I think that's important also when you're picking a financial planner.
Yeah.
And so
Absolutely.
There are resources out there to help a person pick the right type of planner.
Mm-hmm.
And I could, people who are listening might want to jot this down. The Certified Financial Planner Board has a website for the public to go to. And it's simply called Let's Make a Plan.
I love that.
Yeah, letsmakeaplan.org. And that's the public site for the certified financial planners. And you can do a search based upon different criteria. If you want somebody close to you, you can put, within 5 miles, within 25 miles. You can also, and then the CFP board will give you a whole list of people that will give you some background information. It'll give you some basic information as to what their specialization is. And depending upon your circumstances, if you're just starting out, you'll probably want somebody who doesn't have minimums, because many certified financial planners charge fees based upon investments under management, assets under management. Some financial planners will charge an hourly fee.
Oh, wow.
Some will charge a fee for just a basic plan. So you have to search for a person, not just that fits what you're looking for, but that you can connect with, interview a bunch of financial planners, and then pick one that you feel like their information and what they're saying resonates with you.
Excellent. That's good advice. Thank you, Howard. Now, I sometimes, get the tail end of conversations and people tell me, well, I don't need a financial planner. I do it myself. I'm a genius. I can invest myself. What do you have to say to the people that think they don't necessarily need a financial planner? They got this.
Well, frankly, it depends upon the person. So if it's a person who's already accumulated some wealth, who's maybe has a business, has been around a while, for somebody to say that, I would say that's kind of suspect, because anybody who's lived life knows that they come across situations where they have to do some research, where they have to reach out to somebody. The question is, who are they reaching out to? Are they reaching out to somebody who calls themselves a fiduciary? Because we've been hearing a lot about that word fiduciary. I don't think a lot of people really know what it means. Obviously, an attorney is always a fiduciary, right? The job is to put the interest of the client in front of your own. And in the financial world, this is something that's still being debated. What is a fiduciary? And let me go a little bit deeper into that. When people in the financial world start out, they typically start out as either an agent of an insurance company,
Right.
or they're a broker they're a representative of a broker dealer. And those people are generally paid a compensation based upon selling something.
Mhm.
They get paid a commission or a fee based upon a transaction. And so if you work for an insurance company and they have certain products, it's the old, if all you have is a hammer, everything looks like a nail. I think that's something like
Yeah.
that. So you have to understand that if somebody calls themselves a planner or an advisor, you really have to look deeply into that. Are they truly an advisor, or do they have an agenda? Is there a product they're trying to solve your problem?
Mm-hmm. Gotcha.
But to
Gotcha.
go a little deeper, interestingly, there's an organization called the North American Securities Administration, NASAA, and you can go to their website. And right now, they have a public comment period through the middle of December where they're trying to get the regulators, the government, to not permit somebody to use the term advisor, that's spelled ADVISOR or ADVISER, unless you are regulated as a registered investment advisor or an investment advisor representative.
Uh-huh. Wow.
Or you have a designation like a certified financial planner or
Wow.
another recognized designation. There's a lot of letters that you can put after your name. A lot of the regulators don't recognize most of them.
Really? Because, you have to take the battery of tests and you have to get certified and then you have to be able to sell this and then you could sell that. And then, the series and all these testing, that doesn't necessarily make someone an agent or an advisor.
That's right.
Really?
Because, there's a difference between having a license to do something,
Mm-hmm.
which is usually very easy to pass a state license.
Mm-hmm.
It's a test. If you're a good test taker, you can pass a test. But in order to call yourself a certified financial planner, you have to basically have 4 things that each start with the letter E. So you need experience. You can't become a certified financial planner unless you've had at least 3 years of experience working with clients,
Mm-hmm.
or working under the tutelage of another certified financial planner.
Mm-hmm.
The next one is education. You have to pass not just a weekend course, but typically it takes 2 to 3 years of intense study of the CFP courses in order to, so experience, education, examination. You have to pass a very vigorous examination. And the CFP exam is given 3 times a year, every 4 months. And the pass rate is usually somewhere between 55 and 60%.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
Yeah. So the exam is not an easy exam, and it's a multi-day exam, and it's many, many hours. So it's not an easy exam to pass. And there's also an element to which I didn't have when I got my CFP 20 years ago. There wasn't where you had to actually write a actual plan. Now you do. And the fourth E is ethics. You have to subscribe to a very stringent code of ethics. And something that goes along with that the CFP board has worked very hard on the past few years is enforcement. So the CFP board has a vigorous code of standards that CFPs have to follow, and they are enforcing those. So, for instance, if you declare bankruptcy, it's very
Well,
strict.
that makes sense. If you can't manage your own finances, you probably shouldn't be,
Right. So it takes a lot to be a certified financial planner, but there's other designations that are qualified to call themselves an advisor: a chartered financial consultant, a chartered financial analyst, which
Mhm.
primarily works with investments.
Mhm.
But a certified financial planner, there's so much more to a financial planner than just financial planning.
Right.
Because, financial planning takes into, for instance, estate planning, as we discussed, retirement planning, tax planning, education planning. So beyond those planning elements that are generally around your goals and the discovery of who you are and what's important to you, and the data, how much money have you accumulated? Is there a month left over at the end of the money, or money left over at the end of the month?
Mm-hmm.
So budgeting and cash flow analysis, these are the things that a generalized financial planner will do. Some financial planners specialize, and ultimately you want to have somebody that, if you're a business owner, you want to have somebody who has a background in business planning. And that's financial planning. And I lost my thought of where I was going with it, but I'm sure you'll have a good question for me to follow up.
I do. How do you combat somebody saying, well, I don't have enough money for financial planning? That's just for people with loads of money. I'm just starting out, or, I just went through a divorce, or I just moved here. This isn't the time for me to do financial planning. Is there a timing aspect to it?
Not only is there not a timing aspect to it, but we are very fortunate or young people are very fortunate, and not young people are very fortunate to live in an age where you can get all the information that you would want to have to become a certified financial planner, except for the examination and the experience, online. Mm-hmm. We live in a day and age where it's hard to tell what's true versus what's not true.
Right.
But it doesn't take more than just a little common sense to be able to go online and do financial planning on your own. There are literally millions of resources out there. It just takes common sense to realize what is objective and what is helping you develop a plan. So no matter how young you are, when my kids were 11, 12, 13 years old and they started talking to me about, Dad, someday I'm going to want to buy a car. And Mom and I said to them, listen, whatever you save will match 50-50. And that kind of inspired my sons to work real hard and to save their money. So planning starts at a very young age, and it's really important to educate our youth.
Yeah.
And in the state of Florida, actually, the local financial planning, the State Financial Planning Association went to our state legislators, and they have made a requirement that schools need to have courses in financial literacy.
I love that.
Yeah. So it's very important to start young people young so that they develop good financial habits.
Amazing. What about when people say, well, financial planning is just retirement planning, and frankly, I plan on dying before. I don't want to retire. I'm going to die before. I just know it. Everyone in my family dies young. Or just something along those lines of like, I'm not interested in retirement planning. Is financial planning so closely linked with retirement planning?
Well, retirement planning has evolved over the years. And a lot of people that enjoy doing what they're doing are able to work from anywhere. Right. They can work at their own speed. They don't have to work for a big company. Many people can become a consultant. So it's important to understand that retirement planning means doing what you love doing. Mm-hmm. And if you love working and helping people, and what you're doing is not a job. Most people want to retire from a job.
Right.
And the whole idea is to go from a job to a career. And then ultimately, by the time you get to my age, when you might be considering retiring, you say, you know what, this isn't really a career anymore. It's my calling.
Right.
And if you have relationships with people and you know so much about their lives, it's hard to step away and say, okay, let me find you a younger financial planner.
Right.
No, my clients are, we're locked into each other's lives, and to me, it's a calling. So
it's beautiful.
Yeah,
that's very inspirational. Amazing.
But
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead. Do you have another question? Because I
was going to ask you if you have any misconceptions, because you're in the front lines. You hear what people say. I hear it too, but I'm sure you know what other misconceptions people have about what you do.
Well, it's not so much about what I do. It's misconceptions that people have about what their involvement needs to be in the financial planning process. Because as you know, I work with a lot of single people that, a lot of them who have been widowed. Right. And many times a widow will come to me and say, he did it all, but now he's gone. And I don't know where to begin. I don't know where to start. And so I say to people who are in a relationship where he does it all or she does it all, or your children, that is not a good thing to say or to have or to be. You have to know, even if you're not doing the planning, if it's your money, or if it's half your money, or someday it's going to be all your money, you can't just rely upon one person, a child, a smart nephew or niece, even a good certified financial planner. Because when you get to that stage in life, as you know, as we've discussed, it's about a team.
Yeah.
You need a good estate planning attorney. You need a financial planner. You need a good tax preparer. And depending upon how complicated your life is, you may need other professionals involved.
Sure. Absolutely. Yeah. What you talk about with the one person knowing everything and the other person not, it's the classic overfunctioner, underfunctioner relationship where, you kind of have the one person that knows everything and then the other person that, elects to not know it all. So yeah, it's a difficult dynamic. Definitely. Yeah. I see it too.
The answer that many financial planners tell couples, especially young, busy couples, where both really want to abdicate the responsibility of either paying the monthly bills or managing the big picture, the macro thing. What's the right life insurance to buy? What are the right investments to have in our 401k at work? What's the right trust documents to have? All those big picture questions. What we usually recommend financial planners is that if you're in a relationship with somebody and you're sharing finances, the best thing to do is to split those responsibilities between the monthly budget. One person is in charge of the checkbook, in charge of paying the bills, and the other person is in charge of like I said, the big picture things, the things that may need a little bit more research.
Mm-hmm.
And what's important is you each are doing your responsibilities, but you have to come together and teach each other and show each other where are the passwords. What are all of our assets? These days, a lot of young people don't realize how valuable their digital assets are.
Yeah.
And we've talked about how important it is for young people who have digital assets to make that an important part of their estate plan.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's true. Very good, Howard. Any other misconceptions that we should kind of clear up while we're talking about it?
Well, financial planning is more, what I hear a lot of young people today talk about is investing. Listen, if I just need to if I buy some Bitcoin or I buy some NVIDIA, I'm going to have enough money to retire. There's a thing out there called FIRE, where people save all their money and they retire early. And people retire early with a lot of money, but they don't know what to do with their lives. So, it's like winning the lottery. Most lottery winners are broke within a short period of time.
And unhappy and friendless.
Yeah. So what I found that's very important for people to understand with investing or planning is to start early. I'm sure that you've seen, a lot of young people have seen, that if you were to invest your full amount of IRA contributions as early as possible, let's say from the time you're 25 to 35, and you invest your full amount, and then you stopped investing after 10 years, and then you worked for another 30 years, you would have a lot more money than the person who waited till they were 35 and invested every year for the next 25 years. Yeah. And that's because of something called the power of compounding.
Yeah.
When I first started out in financial planning, I was an insurance agent, I was a stockbroker. Then I realized the more I knew, the more I realized how little I knew. So my wife and I looked at each other and we said, one of us has to go back to school because there's so much to know. Right. And so once I got that deeper education, I was able to invest wisely, and I realized that it's the old expression of the tortoise and the hare. The tortoise really does win the race, because if you get to live long enough, the power of that compounding, and you don't even have to live a long time if you invest wisely, if you stay the course through market volatility and the election, what just happened. A lot of people are despondent or they're happy over who won the election. It doesn't really matter. Markets continue to go up. Yeah. And then they go down for a little while, but you have to stay the course. And what a financial planner will do on the behavioral side of financial planning and counseling is will help the client through times of nervousness and uncertainty, and help the client see that if they just stay the course, their plans will come to fruition.
Like a money therapist.
That's really what a good financial planner is.
Oh, wow.
A behavioral counselor.
Yeah, I never heard of that behavioral management. Like, let me manage your behaviors when it comes to financing.
Well, when it comes to investing, people invest at the wrong time.
Right.
Because there's a cycle.
Yep.
And usually when people who are fearful of the market and they hesitate to get into the market because they want to time the market right, what happens is they build up these emotions of missing out. And by the time they're ready to invest, the market has reached the peak. And once the market reaches the peak, that's when people start selling.
Yeah.
Sell high, buy low.
Right.
So the common knowledge, what Warren Buffett says, be fearful when others are greedy and be greedy when others are fearful.
Oh, wow. Deep.
And that's really the way to invest.
Yeah.
Of course, the way to invest is to have a good financial planner, investment manager that has you diversified. Because Nobel Prize winning theory says that it's not the stocks or the investments that you pick.
Right.
And it's not market timing that matters. What matters is the right asset allocation, being diversified amongst many different asset classes, just letting markets do their work. And if you stay diversified and rebalance your portfolio to your personal risk tolerance, you'll win the game in the long run.
Amazing. Very good. Well, Howard, thank you so much for this amazing conversation. I want to give you an opportunity to tell people where they can find you if they want additional information.
Okay. Well, I appreciate that. I can't believe it's over so quickly. There's so much more to talk about. They can reach me if they can see my name right there.
Yep.
There's no space between Howard and Kramer. It's just howardkramer.com.
I love that. Perfect.
Okay. And I'm open to hearing from anybody about any questions that they have. If they've heard this podcast or if they know you, then they're good in my book.
Amazing. I appreciate you for joining us. Thank you so much, Howard. It's been wonderful.
Thank you. Look forward to our next talk.
You got it. Take care.
Bye-bye.
You've been tuning in to the Adulting Demystified podcast with your host, Odelia Goldberg. You should never get legal advice from a podcast. Please don't do anything stupid and ruin it for the rest of us. You deserve to have your own legal advice from a legal professional. You can find this show on all the major platforms, including YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, Apple Podcast, Spotify, and on our website, oldgoldberglaw.com. Thank you for your positive reviews, comments, questions, and for sharing this show with others.